Move that this bill be now read a second time. The people who collect our trolleys at Coles and Woolworths and who flip our burgers at Hungry Jacks or McDonalds or who fry the chicken at KFC are getting paid less than the legal minimum. They certainly have been for a number of years, and it needs to be fixed. There is a loophole in the Fair Work Act that says if you're on an enterprise agreement, you can't be paid less than the legal minimum in the award. But that provision only applies to your 9 to 5 hours working Monday to Friday. The protection doesn't apply to people who work on weekends or at nights. And as a result, hundreds of thousands of workers, mostly young workers, who are getting paid very low wages, have been underpaid by these very large corporations over many, many years because of substandard deals that have been approved in the Fair Work Commission. And on one estimate today, these young people are being underpaid $1 million a day. $1 million a day is going to Coles, Woolworths, Hungry Jacks, KFC, McDonalds, instead of being paid to those people who are working late at nights and during weekends. And this bill will fix it, because every 18 or 19-year-old who's out there who's doing a job at a fast food restaurant or a supermarket should be paid the legal minimum. They know that without being paid the legal minimum, it's hard to make ends meet. And I think every parent who has a child who's working at one of these institutions will be horrified to know that they're not getting paid the minimum award rate. Now, Australia is not America, and that's a good thing, because in Australia we believe that people who spend their time working deserve a minimum wage and minimum rights and conditions. We believe that having a job should not come at any cost. There is a limit to what can be traded away. And we believe that no matter where you live in Australia, you deserve the same minimum wage, rights and conditions at work. And that's why we have national employment standards set out and protected by legislation. And here in Australia we have a proud history of a strong labour union movement that exists to protect people's rights at work, fought to secure the weekend and an 8-hour working day, and ensured those working outside of these hours are fairly compensated through higher pay rates. And we have unions who, time after time, have rallied together and fought the Conservatives' attempt to cut the conditions that Australian workers deserve, and that step up when Conservative governments try to tip the balance against ordinary working people. Now, I have spent my life, Mr Speaker, proudly standing up for workers and their unions, and I'm proud to be part of a party that always puts people's rights at work ahead of big business interests. The Greens always have and always will protect people's rights at work. But what is clear is that our system has failed some of our lowest paid workers in Australia. In our fast food companies and supermarket giants, workplace agreements have been struck that leave workers, some of our lowest paid workers, worse off. Now, thanks to a small number of dedicated individuals, it's been revealed that at some of Australia's largest businesses, Coles and Woolworths, McDonalds, Hungry Jacks, KFC, workers have been paid hundreds of millions of dollars a year. The deal struck with Coles saw the company paying night and weekend penalty rates lower than the award, leaving many workers out of pocket overall, with estimates that the underpayment is worth somewhere between $70 and $100 million a year. Woolworths, Australia's largest employer, has an almost identical agreement to Coles, suggesting many of its workers have also been underpaid. And McDonald's workers are even worse off, and it's likely that hundreds of thousands of workers have been underpaid at McDonald's. And in 2013, McDonald's negotiated an agreement with the SDA under which some McDonald's employees are paid nearly 1/3 less than the award. McDonald's workers seem to be out of pocket by at least $50 million a year, including some young workers who earn just shy of $10 an hour. And Fairfax Media estimates that Woolies, Hungry Jacks and KFC together have shortchanged workers by about $1 billion over 5 years. And as part of its investigations, Fairfax Media spoke to a young woman, Bridget Forrester. Until recently, she worked up to 4 shifts a week at McDonald's store in Perth, including Sunday evenings from 4 till 10 p.m, Sunday night 4 till 10 p.m. at McDonald's, and she was not paid penalty rates. One 19-year-old in South Australia was paid $19,000 for their year's work at McDonald's, and they should have received $25,000. Should have received $25,000 under the award. Now, these are not corporations that are short of a quid. Last year, Woolworths had $58 billion in sales. Coles food and liquor sales alone brought in $32.6 billion. In 2013, McDonalds is estimated to have a turnover of $4 billion. At a very minimum, these companies can afford to pay the basic legal minimum wage set out in the award to people working late at night or on weekends. I think most people in this country would be shocked to know that at these large corporations that are meant to be regulated by federal law and where there are meant to be people looking after their interests, that the people sitting behind the counter can get paid less than the award. And I hear the government members interjecting, saying this is outrageous. It's not surprising that they would say that. The government side of politics has taken donations from these corporations. So have the Labor Party. But I am hoping that in this parliament, instead of interjecting and saying, as the government members seem to be saying, that it's okay for 18 or 19-year-olds to get less than the award, I am hoping that this will be a wake-up call for this parliament and that this bill can get consensus from across the parliament to close this loophole. As I say, we have a provision in the Act that says agreements can't go below the award for your ordinary 38 hours. Let's extend it to cover nighttime work and and weekend work as well. I want to pay acknowledgement to a number of people who have uncovered this scandal that's going on in some of our biggest employers. Josh Cullinan, in his spare time, has personally investigated and compiled evidence of this gross underpayment of employees. And his work should be acknowledged, as should the reporters Ben Schneiders, Royce Miller, Nick Toscano and other members of the Fairfax Media team for their incredible work further investigating and exposing these underpayments. And I also want to acknowledge the workers, people who are working for these companies, Duncan Hart, Penny Vickers and Michael Johnson, who've taken it upon themselves to fight for their rights at work and the rights of tens of thousands of their colleagues. And Siobhan Kelly, a lawyer who successfully ran the appeal case against Coles with Duncan and Josh against teams of lawyers. Now, when this parliament sees wrongdoing by unscrupulous employers, we should stand up to it. When this parliament sees young workers working around the clock getting paid less than the legal minimum set out in our legislation, we should do something about it. Well, the Greens will. We've brought a bill to this parliament. When Fairfax Media, Four Corners and Michael Fraser revealed the rampant worker exploitation at 7-Eleven, we brought that to parliament too. We had those cases heard in front of a Senate inquiry and we've got legislation in front of parliament to fix that. Now, it comes down to a fundamental point, Mr Speaker, one that I think everyone here should be able to agree with. An 18-year-old working nights at McDonalds shouldn't be getting paid less than the legal minimum wage set out in the award. Otherwise, what are awards for? Why do we have federal legislation setting out minimum wages and conditions if you're able to undercut it? You shouldn't be able to undercut it. That's what a legal minimum is. If the law allows deals to be done that underpay our lowest paid workers, then the law needs to be fixed. This bill will close that loophole in our national employment laws that unscrupulous big business employers have exploited to strike deals with organisations like the SDA that result in some of our low-paid workers being drastically underpaid. It provides a simple yet important reform and extends protections for employees covered by an enterprise agreement to require employers to pay a base rate of pay, full rate of pay and any casual loading that is no less than the relevant award or national minimum wage order. And this amendment will apply to existing agreements and to those that are yet to come into effect. And I would ask everyone here in this place, every member of parliament, to ask themselves this. If their 17 or 18 or 19-year-old daughter went off to work at one of these large institutions, would you like them to be paid less than the minimum award rate of pay? Do you think it's fair that your son or daughter could be paid less than the minimum award? If you don't think that's fair, then it's not fair for everyone else who relies on these awards to make ends meet. We should fix it, and we have the capacity to fix it, and that is why I commend this bill to the House.